Yeah, I recall that.
Okay, perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly start off with a brief introduction. So Helio Perroni is an AI expert, and we've worked together on many projects. We've done projects such as disinfection robots, which we launched during COVID-19. It was a Canadian government-funded project. We've done schedule optimizers, demand forecasters. Essentially, we've worked on projects optimizing the Canadian manufacturing sector supply chain. And we've been together for, I think, about 5 years now. Since 2020, early 2020, we sort of interacted, and then we became colleagues, and then we've had a good run so far. So he's been kind enough to take out some time for us. He is at York University, and he works at the James Elder AI Lab over there. So that means that essentially we get access to him and his knowledge and expertise, and we want our students to connect to him. And he's always available. He's a very nice guy. Anytime you have any questions about AI, about machine learning, he specializes in that. And if you want someone to take a second look on your thesis, he's always there. He's always got his hands up to help people along. This first part of the presentation, I'm going to be walking you guys through neurocognitive AI and the sort of work we're doing and what we're developing. It's not a technical presentation, so I'm just going to quickly walk you through it. In the second half, we're going to have Helio walk us through another concept that we've worked on. Well, he's worked on it more than myself. He's dedicated a lot of work to it and man hours to it recently, so that's going to also be very interesting. And Helio, we've got some people over here. Obviously, you've met Azam before. He's one of our teammates. And then we've got people in the internship program, including Ahmed Alaisa. I see Sarah's there, Zayan's there. I see Asma as well. And more and more people are going to be joining in. Anyone who misses out can obviously go back and take a look at the YouTube lecture. And I'm just going to start sharing my screen. So just a sec. Okay, there we go. And there we are. Okay, so essentially I'm just going to take about 20 minutes or so and walk you through different data pre-processing techniques for AI models. This is especially important for us, and I'm saying this to our interns because our collaboration at King Saud University essentially hinges a lot on this, because they were having issues, obviously, with these pre-processing techniques, and they've been using different tools out there in the market. And we've developed something that is really going to help them out with that. Obviously, it's a part of our own solution that we are going to, inshallah, develop and commercialize as well. But we want them to have access to it as well on a research and development level. So as you know, the data sets that we've been using have been sourced from a few places. So there's a company called ADNI, Alzheimer's Disease and Neuro-Imaging Initiative. We use their data sets, ADNI 1, 2, and 3, although they're giving us more data now for other diseases aside of Alzheimer's as well. Then we have OISIS. We're using their data sets as well. And then very recently, we've connected with PPMI, Parkinson's Progression Markers Initiative as well. So that's those are the sources of data that we're using. But I have good news for you. So we are going to sign an MOU. We've got the green signal from King Faisal Research Center and a hospital in Riyadh. So they're going to be sharing data with us for MRI and fMRI data for Alzheimer's and dementia. So that is really going to help us out a lot. That is a very good piece of news for us, because it allows us access not only to data, but also to neuroscience specialists as well. In fact, Ahmed Alaisa is on the call. I got lost in the, it's such a big hospital. He works there because he's a last year medical student. So I got lost on the premises, and then I had to call him up, and he came running to me, and then he took me to my appointment over there. So it was very nice of him. Okay, so coming back to the presentation, so these are the neuroimaging data pre-processing tools that are out there in the market. A lot of neuroscience experts, neuroimaging experts use them. So we've got CAT, we've got BIDS, we've got FSL. FSL is very popular. We've got Clinica as well. But the current state of the art is that researchers and neurospecialists, they use some of these tools, and they have to use them repeatedly, one by one, to get through different stages of cleansing data and sort of clarifying it for use. What we aim to do is and we have developed a model that we are going to be sharing with everyone. So what our model does is essentially it goes through different processes that these tools on the previous screen were doing as well. But our model is holistic. It's got a broad horizon. It's all encompassing. So it does all these steps in one go, and it's a godsend for people working in neuroimaging and neurologists. So I'm just quickly going to go through the processes one by one. So on top, obviously, you see an original image, and then it goes to different processes. I'll speak about them one by one. So we've got intensity normalization, we've got bias field correction, we've got registration, we've got skull stripping, we've got tissue segmentation. Tissue segmentation, as you neuroscience experts in the call probably know, that it's very, very important for detecting Alzheimer's and dementia and Parkinson's. And then we've got data augmentation in the end as well, which from a research and development perspective is also very important. And we'll just quickly touch upon that as well. So first up, we have biased field correction. Now, obviously, you see images on the left, which is the original T1, and then you've got a processed T1. You see an image without bias field correction and then with bias field correction, and you see how much clearer it is. Now, speaking a little bit first about bias field correction, it's also called intensity inhomogeneity correction. The purpose of it is essentially it corrects low frequency intensity variations across an image. Now, these might be caused by imperfections in an MRI scanner or maybe in the anatomy of the patient. The problem it essentially solves is that the same tissue type appears brighter in some regions when you look at it, and then even though the tissue is the same, it appears darker in other regions. Now, this light and dark contrast is sometimes due to scanner-related artifacts. Could be, I don't know, magnetic field inhomogeneity. It could be coil sensitivity. So essentially, the effect of this model and this characteristic is that it makes intensities more uniform for the same tissue type across the image. It makes it easier for models as well as doctors to then assess and analyze it. Next, we have intensity normalization, which is related to it. So I've put it together in one by one in slides and next to each other. You see an original image on the left, and then you see a normalized image, and then you see a denormalized image. So you can tell the difference on how much better it is to assess a normalized image as opposed to the other one. Again, the purpose is it adjusts the image intensities to a common scale. It allows for comparison of different images. It makes them comparable. Different scans, again, may have varying intensity ranges. Could be due to acquisition settings such as scanner settings or protocols or contrast. And this is something that ensures consistent intensity ranges across different images for better comparison. This is especially important when it comes to machine learning. For machine learning, the images you're using, they have to go through the standardized procedure. Otherwise, the results aren't going to be accurate. Another one that I'm going to touch upon briefly is the registration to the MN152 template. Registration, it's essentially a process of aligning an individual brain image to a standardized coordinate space, such as the MNI152 template. It enables consistent comparisons across subjects and studies. Now, probably thinking, what is the MNI152 template? What does it stand for? So it is a widely used standard brain atlas. It was created by the Montreal Neurological Institute, also called the MNI. I've actually seen its building. I've been there. It's an average of 152 T1 weighted MRI scans from healthy individuals, and it's available in different resolutions. For example, 1 mm or 2 mm isotropic. Why we register to the MNI152? Number one, and the biggest reason, is standardization. It enables group level analysis of different MRIs, fMRIs. It allows comparability. It allows results to be compared across different studies. It's also a prerequisite. It's a requirement for automated processing for pipelines like FSL. For those of you who have used FSL in the past, people from neuroimaging backgrounds who have experience in FSL. So MNI 152 is a standardized template that's very much in use in neuroimaging. Next, I'm just quickly going to touch upon skull stripping. In subsequent lectures and sessions, then Azam is going to be taking each one of you individually through each one of these processes and how it's actually done, how the image is uploaded. So we're going to allocate one session each for it from a technical basis. And then keep in mind that we have a boot camp coming up in September at King Saud University, and we're designing the course outline for them right now. And that's also going to be based upon these processes that I'm taking you through today. So that was also one of the reasons that we could go through it, so they could also have a look at it and see what we're working on. So skull stripping, you see different views of the skull over there. You've got the coronal view, you've got the sagittal view, you've got the axial view. Now you got to keep in mind that what our system does, it allows you to have a look at all these views and comparisons in the same frame. Skull stripping, I'm just going to quickly touch upon it. So it's also called brain extraction. It's a very critical step when it comes to pre-processing in neuroimaging. It involves removing non-brain tissues, for example, the skull, the scalp, the eyes from MRI scans. This is done so that it isolates the brain region for further analysis. Accurate skull stripping is essential for tasks like tissue segmentation, registration, and cortical surface reconstruction, especially for tissue segmentation, because tissue segmentation is very, very important for catching diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's and dementia. So by extension, skull stripping becomes even more important. What it does, why is it important? These are good questions to ask. It improves segmentation accuracy. It prevents misclassification of non-brain voxels such as gray matter or white matter or cerebrospinal fluid. So it makes sure that the right thing is identified, the right section is identified, and there's no misclassification because it's already removed the skull and the scalp and the eyes, which could cause issues. It enhances the registration process. For example, we registered the MNI 152. So it aligns brain images to that template more effectively. One of the most important points regarding this is that it reduces computational load. It eliminates unnecessary voxels from processing. So when you remove unnecessary computational load, then it means that you're working on the right segments and you've got your focus on the right parts, and your model is being trained on the right segments and it's highlighting the correct areas. Now, it's also a major facilitator of fMRI analysis. It removes signals from non-brain regions that could distort results. So it's a very important step when it comes to neuroimaging and pre-processing of data. Next, we have tissue segmentation. So for those students specializing in medical sciences and especially neurosciences, they know how important tissue segmentation is. And for those of you who are working on R models and this Alzheimer's detection AI-based model, you guys know how imperative it is that we get tissue segmentation correct, because that is it's one of the core factors that's going to help you identify Alzheimer's and help the model identify Alzheimer's. Now, what it does is it involves partitioning brain images into distinct anatomical regions or tissue types. So it's going to identify gray matter, white matter, cerebrospinal fluid. It enhances the analysis of the brain structure and function in studies involving MRIs and fMRIs and even other sort of scans such as DTI or PET scans. Why is it important? Again, structural analysis. It helps quantify. Now, the key word here is quantify. It helps quantify brain atrophy, lesions, or abnormalities. What's the quantity of a lesion, for example, that's existing in a problematic patient? It assists in functional studies. It improves fMRI analysis because it masks out non-brain tissues. So one of the important functions of this neuroimaging data pre-processing is we take the non-brain tissues out of the equation so that we're able to focus on the correct stuff. It aids in disease diagnosis, especially in detecting neurodegenerative problems such as Alzheimer's and Parkinson. Registration and normalization, it improves alignment of the brain images to standard templates like the MNI 152. And one of the most important facts, again, is the volume estimation. It enables volumetric measurements of brain tissues, so that if there is a problematic area, it's able to tell you how much of it, what's the quantity of it in there. Our last slide, but not the least, is also very important. It's especially helpful for us because obviously data sets for diseases such as Alzheimer's and dementia and data generally in the medical sector is not easy to come by. And for some rare diseases, it's even more difficult to procure it from anywhere. Now, data augmentation is something that we've been using as well to increase the size of our data sets. So, for example, if you have a data set which has 10,000 images, MRIs and fMRI images in it, you can apply data augmentation to it and maybe even increase that 10,000, double it, triple it, or quadruple it. It depends on how you treat it. Now, it's a technique that is usually used to artificially expand a neuroimaging data set. That is done by applying realistic transformations to existing images. This helps improve generalization and the robustness of machine learning, especially deep learning models. For deep learning, we have to realize that we need more and more data, especially Alzheimer's and dementia. And sometimes we have data sets that are restricted or data is anonymized and it's difficult to come by. So that's why we've been working with institutes such as ADNI and OASIS, and obviously they've been very helpful. But there are some instances that you have to apply data augmentation to increase your data sets. And I'll tell you why briefly. Now, it's important, again, because medical imaging data sets are sometimes costly. There's privacy concerns and acquisition challenges, so it's difficult to come by. Sometimes there are class imbalances. Sometimes the data simply isn't available. Some neurological conditions are rare, and this might lead to imbalanced data sets. You might have a large data set for Alzheimer's and dementia, but you might have a smaller data set for, let's say, a specific type of tumor that you're investigating. Again, there are like 44 types of tumors. So if you can't find a larger data set for one specific tumor, you can't train your model to a higher accuracy level. And that's why then sometimes you have to apply data augmentation techniques. Sometimes what also happens is data augmentation can help you in the sense that it reduces overfitting. It essentially prevents models from memorizing training data instead of learning meaningful features. So that's something that we have to keep in mind as well. Now, if you are going to ask me, how is data augmentation taking place? It can take place in many ways, and that's what our model is going to do. So one is rotation, 5 to 15 degrees plus or minus in 3D. It simulates slight head tilts. Translation, some can generate small shifts in the X, Y, or the Z axis, which account for misalignment. Zooming, scaling, 5 to 10% plus or minus. It mimics differences in head size. Flipping it left to right only for symmetrical structures, for example, T1 and MRI. Elastic deformations simulates natural tissue variability used in UNet training. So these are some of the ways, and there's other ways as well, which are Gaussian noise. It simulates MRI noise, SNR variations. Gamma correction, it can adjust contrast, light and dark variations. Random intensity shifts and scaling helps with different scanner contrasts. So these are all the ways that data augmentation is a technique is being used by us and by other neurological experts as well in increasing the size of their data sets, so they have more and more data that can train their AI models on, algorithms on, and get more and more accurate results. Again, I'm going to just quickly mention this again, that we are going to be making a presentation next month at King Saud University in Riyadh. It is going to be, this is the basis of the presentation, but it's going to be much more detailed. It's going to be have a visual depiction of how our model does all these processes and how it makes it crystal clear for the user, and is a much faster process. It's going to be a much more cost-effective process, going to help researchers and developers and people out there who are professionally using such similar tools. So this is something that we have to keep in mind, and obviously we hope that we are then able to share it with you guys as well, and progress from over there. Now, I'm just going to hand it over to Helio because I've taken half your time. So it was as promised to Helio. And if Helio can now walk us through what he's working on.
Yes, of course. Let me set up my own presentation. Just a second. Okay, so now let me share screen. Wait, let me just make sure this is the right presentation. Yes, it is. Just a second. Okay, share. All right, is everyone seeing this?
Yes, I can see it.
The units communicate with a mobile device. In the current iteration, it's an Android smartphone. In terms of software, the wheelchairs use a target tracker that we developed to track their leaders. There are two modes for the guide and for the wheelchair. The guide is tracked using an AI-based person tracking. This using YOLO 11, the current iteration for person detection, and OSNet for feature extraction. So you can then use a combination of the appearance of the guide and the position of the guide that we take from the stereo image to do tracking. And the wheelchairs are tracked using an ARUCO board. ARUCO is an acronym called Augmented Reality University of Cordoba. And these boards, they contain patterns that are very easy for standard computer vision algorithms to detect. They're also very unlike anything else you're going to find in an environment, so it's very unlikely that they will be confused for anything else. And since the dimensions of the board are known in advance, once you find a board in an image and knowing the intrinsic parameters of the lens, you're able to compute the position of the board from the point of view of the camera in space without needing any range information. So using these boards is a very efficient way of one wheelchair to track another. And as you can see on the video, the person tracking also very reliable. And that confuse me. The red bounding box is the position of the tracker of the guide, while the blue boxes indicate all the people and objects that are detected in the environment. So that. Yes, we also have an obstacle detector, so the wheelchairs are able to avoid obstacles on their own. The obstacle pipelines collected from the staircase. These are converted to point clouds, which are then filtered to only leave out the obstacle points, removing points from the floor, points from noisy readings, and so on. The obstacle points are then converted to an occupancy map, which is a 2D representation that indicates on the floor for each location in the floor, it's of 10 by 10 centimeters where there is an obstacle at that location. This occupancy map is finally converted to a proximity map, which indicates for each point on the floor how close there is an obstacle to that point. And these values are normalized from 0 to 1. If I see the map means that there is an obstacle of that location. The lower the value, the further away that there is an obstacle point from that location. And for a value of 0, it means there is no information about how close there is an obstacle from that location. Using the information of the tracker, of the target tracker and the obstacle detection, we were able to perform motion planning. This is done by optimizing a path that balances between closeness to the target track, which is these blue dots that represent the locations of the target over time, and the distance from obstacles, which is given by the proximity map. So in this image, you can see that if the target obstacles nearby, the wheelchair will close track the target's track. If the target is an obstacle, the wheelchair follow it, but staying away from the original trackers to avoid the obstacle. And if the target is, for example, making a turn, the wheelchair will generate a path that modulates between staying close to the original target track and avoiding the obstacles. This is first to compute a linear speed. The idea is to constant distance from the target, but the distance is larger. So the faster the target is moving, the farther will stay from. So that if something happens, we have more to maneuver or to stop the wheelchair if needed. Based on this linear speed and the proximity map, we then compute an angular speed. This is computed using the Perroni pursuit algorithm to generate an angular to steer the wheelchair towards the path. So let's see how it is when everything is brought together. In this quick demo, we can see on the left side a planar representation of the navigation stack. You can see here that we have the blue points that represent the record of the target position over time, the red line that represents the actual path that the wheelchair is intending to follow, and in the proximity map we see that the hotter, the closer to red values, the closeness to obstacles, and the colder values represent points that are farther away from obstacles. And on the right side, you can see the RGB, the RGB video stream, and the bottom you can see each stream from the Luxonics camera. You can see that over time, the navigation alternates between catching the track or the track or diverging from it to avoid an obstacle. This case is a typical one. The path diverted a little bit from the target track to avoid getting too close from these trash cans on the left. See a number of experiments, mostly around York University and Pearson Airport. These experiments involved a number of conditions from small to large crowds. Gym illumination under artificial or natural light, also under around glossy or matte surface, indoors and outdoors, and with passengers. And in our experiments, we noticed that the riders quickly get used to wheelchair motion. Some look a little nervous at first, but after a couple seconds, they space out, start smart. They quickly learn to trust the system because the motion is very smooth, and we still need to do a more review of these results, ask some questions. But I suppose that also the fact that there is a person around looking after them helps with the feeling of safety. By under even when turning tight corners, as you can see in the video that's rolling, illumination changes and starts to moderate crowd sizes. Under very sizes, it becomes increasingly harder for the workers to keep each other on site. Still, to perform a voice stop, and users can intervene quickly to manage that a crowd is tight. The guide can always slow down and ask people to move, and both the guide and the passenger promptly stop the convoy if they have any concerns. So, in conclusion, the robotic voice system for assistive human transportation. It's cost-effective relative to a fully automated self-driving wheelchair, and while at the same time providing substantial labor savings in comparison to manual fleets. We have been able to build a complete implementation that was tested in real-world settings, and this is the end of my presentation. If you have any questions.
Helio, I have a couple of questions. Number one,
of course,
would be the speed of the person who is walking. So as I see it, maybe you have, I don't know, they have like 5 wheelchairs following them, which is 5 people in it, and there's one person on foot, like yourself in the video. If the person starts changing from walking to a brisk walk to a jog, what is the point that the wheelchairs, the system says, you know what, this guy's too fast for safety concerns, and let's wheelchair on its own, there's an override or something, and it slows down?
Yes, this is a right. The max speed set of 1 meter per second. This is partly a limitation of these models. The motors aren't powerful enough to go much faster than that. But it is a predicted scenario that the wheelchairs are only going to go so fast, and if the guide starts moving faster than they allow it to move, and starts to leaving them behind, after a certain limited distance, the mobile device is going to the guide. Since the guide is in front, he might sometimes not be aware of the location of the wheelchairs, but the mobile device, the mobile user interface, has a number of guiding. One of them is that if he the device starts vibrating, and there is an alert in the dead space saying, "Yeah, you're too fast. You're too far away. Please slow down."
Okay, fair enough. That's a good response. Helio, I'm just going to quickly introduce you to Dr. Schwag. Dr. Schwag, I see that you've joined the call.
Yes, hi everyone.
Hello, doctor. Thank you for coming on the call. So I'm just going to quickly introduce you to Helio. Helio Perroni is an old colleague of mine, and we've been working together on a lot of solutions. This wheelchair that he presented is also a very unique idea. I think we initially worked on it in 2021 or 22, I believe. And then Helio has been taking it forward. I've also sent Helio a request to put together a document for us, which is going to highlight and illustrate the requirements of a neuroimaging lab. So he has been working on it from a hardware requirement and him as well his email, so all of us can be in touch. And Helio, Dr. Schwag, I met her when I went to King Saud University. So she's a neuroscience professor over there, specializing in neurology. And we are going to be collaborating from a R&D perspective. We're going to train this. We're going to use her expertise as well in building our neurocognitive AI. Dr. Schwag, you missed the first half. So the spoken the neuro-imaging bit, which I did.
Okay.
But I will send you a recording.
Yes.
2020 going to be a YouTube link, and you can take a look.
Yes.
And
Definitely. I still though have a question for those there. I noticed from the video that the chairs follows the guide.
Yes.
But they're not actually in line. So let's say corridors where space is limited. What does the guide do to make sure chairs follow each other in a straight line, leaving a space for pedestrian?
Well, the wheelchairs, it's an artifact of that particular video that some people came from the side, so the wheelchairs started evading, so they weren't perfectly aligned. Over and if the convoy has to go to narrow corridor, and in that is because there is the input, the sensor input of an obstacle, then the wheelchairs would quickly come in a tight line behind the guide.
Yeah, excellent. I do have a suggestion. Can you, for example, motion sensor for a degree from both sides and front of the chair, where if there's pedestrian, it will stop automatically if it's toward the air chair?
Sorry, come again?
Yeah, I'm just suggesting, would you be able to build a motion sensor at a certain angle, for example, front and maybe 15 degrees to the right, 15 degrees to the left? If anyone comes within this left, then the motion sensor can detect it, and then immediately it will stop to avoid the pedestrian, just either hitting someone by mistake, like especially when you turn into corners.
Yes, it's definitely possible. During our work with the clean bot, Ahmed and I actually looked into local motion sensors that could be used for that.
Excellent.
Yes, the cameras that we use have a very wide for on a pole at the back, right?
Yeah.
So as far as the front and the sides go, these areas are covered, and visual obstacle detection is very accurate with these cameras, so we don't have any problems with that. But yes, we could always use some low-cost motion sensors to cover any blind sides.
Yeah, excellent.
I'm just going to quickly tell you, Dr. Schwag. So we did a project during COVID-19, which was a disinfection autonomous robot that would go. I will send you the videos for it. It's very cool. So the robot would go into different rooms, and it would disinfect spaces like desks and chairs and doorknobs and stuff. So we used real sense cameras for those for obstacle avoidance, and the real sense cameras, I think, are price used for this wheelchair because we're trying to keep the cost down. So Helio, how are we doing obstacle avoidance now currently for the wheelchair?
Yeah, for the wheelchair, we're using a single Luxoni's Oak D camera. These are they are similar to the real senses in the sense that they are stereo cameras with an extra RGB camera, so they can both work as RGB and depth cameras. But they also have this nice feature that they have an AI chip inside, so you can run AI models directly inside the camera, and you use that to run the detection models that are used to detect people. And these ones, they are actually, in some senses, better than the real sensors because they have a very wide field of view, so they can cover a lot more space. And if for now we have just the one, if we wanted to add more sensors for obstacle detection, I would suggest adding the VL53IOX, which is it's a motion, not a motion, a distance sensor by this company called ST Micro. And these are very low cost. It's like $12 Canadians a unit.
Okay, that's a good point. Currently, the wheelchair, does it automatically stop if it senses a collision? And what's the parameter of it stopping?
Oh yes, of course. And the executing a path towards the guide.
Okay.
And if at any point this path that closer than a conclude best path I could, so I'm going to stop.
Okay, perfect, got it. Does anyone else have any more questions, Dr. else?
I don't have actually questions. I'm amazed with the presentation. Thank you so much, Helio. I'm looking forward to see more of you if you have more devices or any new inventions that you're working on. But I will wait for the first half of the presentation. Definitely, I will hear it. I was out with my daughter. You know, it's weekend here in Saudi Arabia, so I apologize for being late. And if I have questions, can you share this presentation with the email of Helio, please, Ahmed?
Yes, of course, Doctor.
Excellent.
No problem
Brilliant.
at all. Yes, I understand it's a weekend. I had initially scheduled it for Thursday, but Helio has a newborn and he had a doctor's appointment. Unfortunately.
Congratulations. More important things than the presentation.
Yes, to get because if you're looking for a appointment, there's usually a 4 to 5 month, 6 month waiting time.
Oh.
And once you get that appointment, you gotta go. Otherwise, then it's not 6 months.
Oh my God. Oh my God. It's different than here.
Yeah, it's different over there.
Yeah,
So-
congratulations. Yeah, definitely. That's fine. I mean, I don't mind. Definitely. I always carry my laptop anyways.
Thank you. Okay, so I guess our meeting time is ending anyway, so I will let everyone go. I think it was a very good session. And for our Saudi AI interns, keep in mind that from next week onwards, we will go back to our regular sessions, which will obviously have the technical AI training, which Azam will be conducting. And I will send out the links, hopefully, inshallah, by tonight, as soon as I get it from Azam. And next week, inshallah, then we will be in touch, everyone.
Excellent. Thank you so much, everyone.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Helio. Give my
Bye.
to the family.
My pleasure. Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
See you next
Thank
time.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.